Hi there. In this video, we're going to be adding and subtracting fractions. We're only going to do part of the notes in this video. Today, we're just going to look at adding and subtracting fractions that have like denominators. All right, and then we'll finish the rest of the notes in other videos. Okay, so the first thing, I'm going to assume that everybody knows what a fraction looks like. Okay, it's comparing a part to a whole, so 2/3 means 2 out of 3. The top of the fraction, the 2, is called the numerator. The bottom of the fraction, the 3, is called the denominator. Right, so that's the 2, and that's the 3, denominator. All right, fractions can only be added and subtracted when they have like or common denominators, okay? And that just means the denominators have to be the same. Right, so we might call them like denominators, or we may say common denominators, but what we mean is the denominators, that bottom number is the same. All right, and because we know about integers now, positive and negative numbers, you're going to see some fractions that are sometimes positive. Well, they'll be positive sometimes, but they also can be negative. So when that happens, sometimes they put the negative in front of the fraction. Sometimes they put it on top. We're just always going to put it on top. So we're going to keep the negatives with the numerator. It doesn't really change the fraction to put it on top or bottom or out in the front, but it just makes it simpler if we always put it on top. Okay, so we're going to keep the negatives in the numerator, and then we're going to add or subtract just the numerators. And then once we subtract or add the numerators, we'll write our answer over the denominator. So again, the denominator is that bottom number. It's not going to change. We're going to leave it the same. And then with fractions, you always simplify at the end. Okay, even if they don't tell you that, it's always understood. All right, so if I look at these first two fractions, 5/9 plus 6/9, the denominators are 9. They're both 9. So when they're the same, then I can go ahead and add or subtract them. So I'm adding 5 plus 6. That's 11. That's on top, my numerator. And then I keep the denominator the same. So this is still 9. All right. So simplify. I don't want to leave this where the numerator is larger than the denominator. That's called an improper fraction. So to change this to a mixed number, I'm going to divide it. Top in, bottom out. 9 will go into 11 once. When I subtract, I get 2. So that helps me write the mixed number. I have one whole. I had a remainder of 2. That becomes the numerator. And then my denominator doesn't change. It's still 9. All right, so 1 and 2 9. And the second one, this time I have 2 negative numbers, and I'm adding. And when I look at my denominators, I can see that they're the same, so it's okay to add the top numbers. And so remember this negative, I'm just going to put it up here with the 3. Just think of it as -3 plus -1. So -3 plus -1, when they have the same signs, -3 plus -1, then I can just add them and keep that negative, -4. All right, so that's what's going to go on top of my fraction. And then I keep the denominator the same, so this stays 5. Then check to see if it can be simplified. This one can't, so it's going to be just -4/5. And again, if you forget and put the negative out in front, it's still fine. You just don't want a negative in both places. There's just one negative if this is a negative fraction. All right, if I look at 3, I have -1/6 minus 2/6. So my denominators are the same, so I'm just going to worry about the tops of my fractions. Now, when we did integers before and we were trying to subtract using negative numbers, we usually rewrote the problem. So this, instead of being -1 minus 2, I would keep change or keep change opposite and make this -1 plus -2. All right, so then if I do that, -1 plus -2, they're both negative. They're the same. So I add them, keep the negative, -3. All right, so now if I make this into my fraction, the top part, -1 plus -2, is -3. Denominator is still 6. My last step is to see, can I simplify it? And this time I can. These both are divisible by 3, so I need to do that. 3 divided by 3 is 1, and that stays -1. 6 divided by 3 is 2, and then I'm done. Now, if I got to this part and I could still simplify, then I would keep going. All right, for number 4, I'm going to check to see if they have the same denominator. They do. So I'm just going to worry about their numerators. Negative 1 plus 1. If I just want to rewrite that. Negative 1 plus 1 is what? Well, it's actually 0 because they're different signs, so I actually subtract them. So I could write this as 0 over 3, but I don't need the over 3 part. 0 over 3 just means 0. So I'm going to rewrite this as 0. All right, number 5. I have negative 5/8 minus negative 3/8. So again, my denominators are the same. That means I can add or subtract the numerators. Now, again, because I'm subtracting with negatives, I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this first. Again, I'm using keep, change, change, or keep, change, opposite. So I'm going to keep the negative 5, change to add. This is keep, change, change. And then change negative 3, because that negative is going to stay with my numerator, to positive 3. All right, so then because these signs are different, negative 5 plus 3, then I subtract the numbers. So 5 minus 3 is 2, and then the largest, or the what I have the most of, are negative, so this becomes negative 2. All right, so that is my numerator, negative 2. Keep my denominator the same, it's 8. And then I want to check to see if this can be simplified, and it can. These are both divisible by 2, so I'm going to take the time to do that. Again, negative 2 divided by 2, that's just going to stay negative 1. 8 divided by 2 is 4, and then I'm done. All right, so that is adding and subtracting with like denominators. Again, if they have the same denominator, then all you have to do is really worry about your numerator adding and subtracting this. Okay, and then just don't forget to simplify. That's the other mistake people make commonly. All right, see you soon.